astronomers were excited to discover the interstellar object last year. It was named Oumuamua.
In 2017, a group of scientists made an intriguing discovery using the Pan-STARRS telescope. They spotted an extraordinary object, now famously known as Oumuamua. Since then, we have been grappling with the mystery surrounding its true nature and origins. It's been a fascinating journey for all of us as we strive to uncover the truth. In this video, we'll explore a fascinating scientific solution to the Oumuamua mystery that, believe it or not, does not involve aliens. Yep, you heard that right. Let's waste no time and delve into this fascinating topic. Let's first take a moment to understand why this object sparked such controversy and triggered an extraordinary debate about its origins. Now, when we consider the peculiar object known as Oumuamua, there appears to be an intriguing explanation for its enigmatic nature. Unfortunately, the only reasonable explanation we see for all of this is, well, scientific ego. You know, that desire scientists have to be the ones who make groundbreaking discoveries and be in the spotlight for their extraordinary findings. It's quite common for the scientific ego to cause problems in the scientific community. Firstly, it leads to a loss of faith and confidence in scientific discoveries, the scientific community, and scientists in general among the public. Secondly, this ego-driven mentality creates a race among scientists to be the first to discover something incredible, often resulting in mistakes and even job loss. Now let's shift our focus to an important aspect when it comes to scientific investigations: the significance of avoiding premature conclusions. It's understandable that we all have a fascination with the idea of extraterrestrial intelligence and the existence of aliens. Many individuals firmly believe in the presence of life beyond our planet. However, it is vital for scientists to exercise caution and refrain from hastily attributing a phenomenon to alien intelligence without sufficient evidence. Jumping to conclusions without considering other reasonable explanations can be seen as irresponsible, particularly within the scientific community. While speculation is acceptable for non-scientists, scientists themselves must uphold a rigorous approach when examining claims. It is crucial to approach hypotheses with skepticism and refrain from prematurely treating them as established facts. Unfortunately, this premature acceptance has occurred in various instances in recent decades, including the case of Planet 9. Nevertheless, despite these considerations, it's still definitely worth it to discuss Oumuamua because there is a new paper that is brilliant and extremely interesting to read. But first, let's talk about the shape of Oumuamua because the depiction we've shown you so far is this unusual cigar-like shape. However, many scientists don't believe that was the shape at all. In fact, several recent studies suggest that the shape is more like a flat pancake or a bar of soap that has been used for a very long time. This analogy is actually quite important, and we'll explain why in a few minutes. Unfortunately, we're stuck using this particular shape for our illustrations because all previous depictions have followed this form. However, let's dive into the intriguing characteristics of this object. Scientists have determined that it entered our solar system with a velocity slightly lower than what we would typically expect from an interstellar object. This suggests that it hadn't been traversing interstellar space for an extensive period. In fact, experts estimate that its interstellar journey may have lasted no more than 500 million years, possibly even less. Interestingly, it is believed to have first entered the outer reaches of our solar system around 1605, during the early days of astronomy. By the year 2430, it is projected to officially depart our solar system, steadily cruising at a velocity of approximately 26.3 kilometers per second. Now, one of the more peculiar aspects of this object is its light curve. Scientists observed irregular fluctuations in brightness, which they interpreted as the object tumbling as it moved through the solar system. However, the actual shape of the object has been a subject of debate. Initially, it was thought to resemble a cigar shape, but subsequent investigations led scientists to conclude that it was likely more disc-shaped. Nevertheless, thus far, nothing about this object seemed out of the ordinary. However, an unexpected event unfolded as scientists closely monitored Oumuamua's departure from our solar system. They noticed a slight deviation between its observed orbit and the anticipated trajectory. While such deviations are common for comets, which undergo changes in orbit and trajectory due to the emission of material from their cores, Oumuamua lacked the typical cometary tail that accompanies such alterations. This perplexing observation indicated that the trajectory was indeed changing, yet no cometary tail was detected. This anomaly spurred the formulation of the following explanation. And you know what? When it comes to the whole idea of this strange object, scientifically speaking, it's still a bit puzzling. There are actually several other explanations out there that seem to make a lot more sense. In fact, there are many more papers on this hot topic. These papers offer what many experts consider to be the best explanations we currently have. Now let's dive into the key points discussed in the two most interesting papers. First off, one of the assumptions made is that this mysterious object had a pancake-like shape. It wasn't your typical round comet. And the second explanation has to do with the object's color and its composition. You see, this object wasn't made up of the same stuff as the comets we usually detect, like the famous Neowise comet. Those comets are primarily composed of various frozen gases, including different types of water ice, methane, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, and ammonia. When these gases interact with sunlight, they give off distinct colors that we can observe from a distance. But here's the interesting part. We also know that there are many objects lurking in the outer reaches of our solar system. Take the stunning Pluto, for example. It shares its neighborhood with other objects that have a different composition. These objects, like Pluto, have a reddish color, and that's because they contain nitrogen ice. That beautiful reddish hue you see on Pluto's surface? Yep, that's nitrogen ice right there. And the way this nitrogen ice evaporates is quite different from the typical material found in most comets. So what the scientists behind these papers suggest is that this enigmatic object was most likely a chunk of nitrogen ice. They believe it originated from a distant Pluto-like object in another star system. In other words, it's like a fragment from an exoplanetary Pluto, or maybe even an exo-dwarf planet. You can think of it as a tiny piece of another world, floating through space. And the explanation provided in this illustration right here beautifully captures this concept. Now let's delve into this fascinating cosmic tale that began around 400 to 500 million years ago. Picture this. A distant Pluto-like object in another star system experiences a collision with an unknown entity. As a result, a colossal chunk breaks free and ventures into the outer reaches of the star system, eventually finding itself in interstellar space. Now, initially, this fragment was likely more circular in shape. However, the passage of time, coupled with the interaction between nitrogen and cosmic rays, caused it to gradually erode, not unlike the way your bar of soap becomes flattened with each use in your bathroom. You've probably witnessed this phenomenon before as you lather up the soap, noticing its gradual transformation into a thin, pancake-like shape. A similar process occurred with our celestial wanderer. Fast forward to 2017, and the chunk enters our solar system, reaching its closest point to the Sun. Shortly thereafter, it continues its journey, leaving the solar system behind. It was only a few months later that we were able to spot it using telescopic observations. The deviations in its orbit were likely a consequence of nitrogen ice evaporating from its surface. Curiously, when nitrogen evaporates, it doesn't generate the characteristic tails we commonly associate with such events. Therefore, without this evaporation process, we would not have been able to detect the object in question. Now, let's consider the implications of this discovery. Since the ice chunk originated from another dwarf planet, it is reasonable to assume that it was considerably more reflective than anticipated. Consequently, the object's size was likely smaller than our initial estimations. This diminished size, combined with the substantial emissions resulting from the evaporation of nitrogen, led to a more significant deviation in its orbit than initially predicted. In essence, the reflective icy fragment, while emitting copious amounts of nitrogen, provides a plausible explanation for the observed changes in its orbital behavior. Indeed, this explanation aligns perfectly with all the observations made thus far. Even the reflectivity of the object closely resembles that of other celestial bodies like Pluto and Triton. So basically, what we found was a big chunk of a dwarf planet or some kind of object that came from another star system. It's fascinating because it came from the same region where we usually find dwarf planets. This object likely originated from a relatively young star system that was still developing, just like our own solar system did in its early stages. During that time, there were a lot of collisions happening, and that's probably why this object got ejected in the first place. This discovery confirms that other star systems also have their own dwarf planets made of similar materials as Pluto, Triton, and many other dwarf planets in our solar system. It's really interesting to think about how these objects form in different star systems. What's even more exciting is that recent estimates suggest that around 7 such objects pass through our solar system every year. This means we have a great opportunity to potentially find and study more of these objects in detail before they disappear again. Imagine the wealth of information we can gather from studying these interstellar visitors. Despite the controversies and differing opinions surrounding this object, there's no denying that it's one of the most intriguing discoveries of the past decade. Scientists will surely be discussing and analyzing it for years to come. It's discoveries like these that push the boundaries of our knowledge and ignite further curiosity about the vast universe we live in. Subscribe to Beyond Discovery and see you in the next episode.